All right, show user is Scott. Set wrap off. Set lines 100. Pages 100. All right, let's clear the screen. Describe EMP. Select star from EMP. All right, now we're going to do another function called length. How many characters does the letter Allen have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. But let's just play around with some of these functions. Select length ename from EMP. Now, 14 rows were selected because we didn't use a where clause. Remember, the where clause restricts rows. It restricts rows. So what if we decided to show two columns? One column with people's names, employee names, and the other column with the length of their names. Select ename, comma, length, that's a function, ename. All right, from EMP. Length, select ename, so we're going to have an ename, and then the length of the ename, 5. And we already know how we do aliases, so we can actually fix that up right now. All right, so select ename, comma, length, ename, as, I'll just say length of name, from EMP. Length of name is now the column heading because I use it as an alias, as, and since it's more than one word, I put it in quotation marks. The first column is ename, and the second column is the length. The function length will count the number of digits in whatever column is in the parentheses. All right, so let's describe the table EMP. Let's select star from EMP, and let's do length of job. Select job, comma, and then the length of job from EMP. This is not really a useful table, but this is just showing the versatility of SQL+. Clerk has 5 digits in it, 5. Salesman has 8 digits in it, 8. And if we wanted to change that to an alias, we know what to do. Now, what if I asked you something funny like, show me everybody in the employee table whose names are less than 5 letters long? Screen. So that is going to be a where clause. So pay attention. Select ename, comma, length, ename, from EMP. All right, if I hit enter, we know what that's going to be, all 14 rows. But I want to see whose name is less than 5 digits. So let's do a where clause. Select ename, comma, length, ename, from EMP, where. Now what we're looking to compare in the where clause is the length, not just ename, is the length of ename. All right, so we're going to say length ename is less than 5. Now let's pay attention to what just happened here. Normally in the where clause, so far we've only been putting column names. Where job equals salesman, where job equals clerk, where salary is greater than 5,000, where salary is less than 5,000, things of that nature. Now we see we can put certain functions in the where clause, where length of ename is less than 5. So obviously, what's less than 5? 4. And we don't have any 3s, 2s, or 1s, obviously, because names, but 4. All right, so let's clear the screen. Show me everybody's name who has exactly 6 characters. How about that? Let's try that. Select ename, comma, length, ename, from EMP, where what? The length of the ename equals 5. 8 people. 8 people have a name that has exactly 5 digits. All right, we're talking about the length function. Remember that. We're talking about the length function. And let's try, let's clear the screen and let's play around with this. Let's see how many employees have a name whose the length of the name is less than 6 digits. length ename from EMP, where length ename is less than 6. 11. All right, nobody has 6 here. It's 11. What if I said less than or equal to 6? What if I do that? Select ename, comma, length ename from EMP, where the length of the ename is less than or equal to 6. All 14 rows. The reason is because nobody has 7, 8, 9, or even 10. 6 seems to be the max. All right? So that's length. That's a summary of length, but let's do it one more time. Describe EMP. Let's see the length of the ename name. So let's just do select ename from EMP. And let's have a second column that has the length of these names. So that's going to be a function. Select ename, comma, length, parentheses, ename from EMP. All right. And Smith has 5 digits, Blake has 5, Martin has 6. Now let's change that to an alias. We're combining what we learned so far. So it's going to be select ename, comma, length, ename, length of the ename, and we'll just say as length of names. Or we'll just say digits in names. Digits and names. End quotes from EMP. There we go. 2 columns. Ename, because it's ename in the select statement. Length of ename, that's the function. And we named it digits in names. So one more time, if we wanted to see which employees have a name that's greater than 5, for example, we can do select ename, comma, length, ename. We'll just say length. We'll call it length. From EMP. Now hit enter, where the function length of the name is, what did I say? Less than, greater than 5? Greater than 5. Only 3 people have names whose digits, names whose the length of their name is greater than 5. 3 people. All right. So again, select ename. There's ename, and length of ename, alias length. There's length from EMP. That's the table we've been dealing with. I hit enter just to put it on the second line, where it's all capital. We all know that it's not case sensitive, but it's all capital letters. Where the length of the ename is greater than 5. So SQL is looking at the ename column in the table and only retrieving those where the length of that column is greater than 5. All right, so let's clear the screen. All right, now let's do select star from EMP. Now we already know it's only 14 rows, but what if it's like 100,000 rows and we can't really eyeball everything like we can now? What if I said to you, how many different jobs is in our company? Now you might be tempted to say 14. That's how many employees we have though. How many unique jobs? Because I see clerk right here, but I also see clerk, clerk, clerk. But there's only one clerk. One position title clerk. I see salesman, 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 and salesman. So now we're going to go to another function called the distinct. It's called the distinct qualifier. The purpose of distinct is it eliminates duplicates and is just like upper, lower, init cap, and length in terms of the syntax. So let's try something here. Select distinct job from EMP. I want you to pay attention here. You see what happened? It only displayed the distinct jobs in the table. Now we can look up here and see there's 14 rows selected. Clerk, 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 clerk. Clerk take up 4 of the 14. There's only one president, but there's 2 analysts. There's an analyst and an analyst. But when we put the word distinct in front of a column, it eliminates the duplicates. So there are only 5. All right? So let's look at departments. 20, 30, 30, 20, 30, 30. What if I said the same thing? How many individual departments do we have? Distinct departments do we have? Well, you might be tempted to say 14, because if you do select DEPTNO from EMP, we have 14. But can't you see some duplicates? Don't you see 20, 20, 20? Don't you see 30 a couple of times? Now, what happens if we put the distinct qualifier in front of the word department number? Select distinct parentheses 3 only show up. All right, and that makes perfect sense, because if we do select star from EMP, really all we see is 20s, 30s, and 10s. Now, if this table had 1,000,000 rows, you're not going to be scrolling up and down 1,000,000 rows looking to check your work, so to speak. You're not going to check your work here. You're just going to trust your work. You're going to trust a SQL statement. All right? So distinct. So once again, you put the word distinct, parentheses, and the job, or distinct parentheses and the department number. Let's say you had 5 people whose last name was Smith, and just for fun you had a table that had 100 rows, and let's say how many distinct names do we have, and out of 100 rows, let's say only 80 came back. That's because 20 people have the same name. That's just an example. So distinct job means you're going to get only the distinct jobs, but it's going to name the jobs. So if we clear the screen, select distinct job from EMP, it's going to name the jobs. But once again, let's say this was a humongous table and even the search results on the distinct qualifier returned over 200 rows. Wouldn't it be nice if we had an output that gave us a specific number instead of listing them? Now, if somebody said, I want to see the distinct jobs, then this is the perfect SQL statement. Distinct and job. But what if we wanted a number, like how many distinct jobs do we have in the table? So now let's talk about count. It's another function. All right, so let's clear screen. Select job from EMP. These are all the jobs with duplicates. 14 rows selected. I see clerk, clerk, clerk. I see multiple salesmen. If I wanted to see the distinct jobs, I would do select distinct job from EMP. We did that already. These are distinct jobs. What if I put the word count in front of distinct? Let's see what happens. Select count, parentheses, distinct, parentheses, job, close parentheses for distinct, and then close parentheses for count. Right? The first parentheses is just for job, the column. The second parentheses is to close out count. From what? From EMP. Look at that. 5. It's easier to explain something when you see it. That's why this is a hands-on course. 5 different jobs were in the search results when we did select distinct job. But if you wanted the specific number of distinct jobs, you would put the word count in front of it. Let's do the same thing with the department numbers. So select star from EMP. Now we know already there's only 3 separate department numbers because we already did select distinct department number from EMP. And we had 30, 20, and 10. But like I said, let's say this is a table with 1,000,000 rows and you didn't feel like counting. You did not feel like counting. Well, to see a specific number in the output of how many departments you have, we're going to do the same thing we did with the jobs. We're going to use count. Select count. Open parentheses. We're going to count something. What are we going to count? We're going to count the distinct department numbers. Close parentheses for department number. I hit space a couple times. Close parentheses for count from EMP. 3. Now we knew there was 3 just by eyeballing it. but I'm showing you the different functions in SQL. Now, obviously, I was joking around by putting all these spaces here, but I just wanted to do it just to show you. Count gets its own parentheses. And then distinct, the column that distinct is referring to, also gets its own parentheses. And of course, we can do aliases to clean that up. So let's say you were asked to show the distinct number of department numbers. The distinct numbers of departments. How many departments do we have? That might be a better question. So select count distinct department number, close, as, let's say, number of departments. Close quote from EMP. Now let's look what we did. We still have 3. Where did the 3 come from? Because we're counting whatever is this. What is this going to output? This right here, distinct department number, is going to give us an output of 30, 20, and 10. Distinct department number alone is going to give us 30, 20, and 10. But count is going to count the rows. Count counts the rows, which usually says 14 rows selected, 10 rows selected. So number of departments, we already know aliases, so we don't need to go over that. But as number of departments, obviously we use the quotes because this is more than one word. But we have that part. I want you to understand where we got the 3 from. We are counting whatever is in these parentheses. And what is in this parentheses? This. All right. So let's do that again one more time. Let's clear screen. Select star from EMP. How many different jobs do we have? Well, that's going to be select count, and we want the distinct jobs. Close parentheses, and we'll say number of jobs from EMP. 5. So obviously the alias, we didn't use the word as, but we have quotes. Number of jobs is the column heading. We are counting. See, we're selecting this. Well, what is this? This is a count. We're counting something. What are we counting? We're counting whatever is in the outermost brackets. Well, what is in the outermost brackets? The distinct job. This is very, very simple, and I'm doing it over and over again for the repetition. 5. So now let's talk about count star. Now you know select star. You know star from select star from EMP. Select star. Star means you're going to get the output of the entire table, right? What if I did count select count star from EMP? 14. Is that a coincidence that there's 14 rows? No. If you remember, we did count and job. We did count. We did distinct job. By the way, these give you 2 separate answers. Count distinct job was giving us 5. But if we did count job, we would get 14. And let's prove it. And let's return back to select star in a moment. So if I clear the screen, if I do select job from EMP, we're going to get 14 rows because there are 14 separate jobs. Duplicates included, 14 separate jobs. But if I do select count job, not distinct job, just count job from EMP, we should get 14. 14. Why? Because there are 14 different jobs in the table. We're not eliminating duplicates. 14. Now let's say we wanted the distinct jobs. Well, that's going to be select count, and instead of count parentheses and just job, we're going to do count distinct job from EMP. Now we get 5. I want you to understand the difference between the 14 and the 5 is because of the word distinct. The distinct qualifier eliminates duplicates. That's what it does. So if count job was 14 and the entire table has 14 rows, wouldn't it make sense that count star would have 14 as well? Because star represents everything in the table. And if we didn't use a distinct qualifier for job, and that resulted in 14 rows, then you better believe select count star from EMP will give us 14 rows. And just for fun, we can put an alias there. Select count star, I'll say number of rows in table from EMP. Number of rows in table, 14. I could even get fancy and say select count number of rows in table EMP from EMP. So the number of rows in table EMP, obviously I put that whole string of characters in quotes. Alright, so that's count. That is count. I hope this makes perfect sense. Alright, so now we can do one more thing with count. So I want you to show me all of our salesmen. So if we look at the table, let's say we want to see everybody's names. Who's a salesman? So let's do select ename, comma, job. Oh, let me clear screen. Select ename, job from EMP where job equals sale. Let's say clerk. Let's just do clerks. So we have 4 clerks. But what if I don't know how many clerks we have and we have a table that's very large? What if I wanted to see how many clerks we have? Here I see the actual clerks we have. What if somebody said, hey, how many clerks do we have? Let's go back to the count. So that's going to be count star. So remember, select count star from EMP. Now that's going to be 14 if I end the statement like that. But if I do EMP where, all right, where job equals clerk, we should get the number 4. 4. So remember, when we did count star from EMP, select count star from EMP, we got 14 because there are 14 rows in the EMP table. Because if I do select star from EMP, 14 rows. You can see easily how many rows we have just by doing select count star from the table you're working with. In this case, we're working with EMP. But if we're working with a table called drivers, and we work at the Department of Motor Vehicle, you know, it might be a table with 500,000 rows. You can do select star from drivers, if that's the name of the table, drivers, and it'll show you the rows. But what if we said, how many people have a license that's expired? Well, let's assume certain things here. Let's assume it would look like this. Select, let's say, status from table called drivers, which I have no idea that even exists, right? Where status equals expired. Now, hypothetically, if this was an actual syntax of a table called drivers and there was a column called status, I'd get a list of status, meaning yes, no, expired. If it's expired, it'll say expired. If it says if they're able to drive, it might say valid. So if I say expired, we're going to see a whole bunch of people's names and the word expired. But what if I wanted to see how many people are expired? That's where I'll do select count star from drivers where status is expired. Then it's going to return a specific number. All right, so this is a hands-on course, so the purpose of this course is to do it hands-on. So watch what I do here. So if I do select star from EMP, what if I said, show me how many managers we have? Show me how many. How, that's a keyword, how many. So it's going to be select count star from EMP where job equals manager. 3. We have 3 managers. All right. Now if I said show me the managers' names and salaries, that's going to be select ename sal job from EMP where job equals manager. That's where you can see the managers. But if somebody said how many, we're going to do count star. So look at this syntax here, select count star from EMP versus this syntax, select ename job sal from EMP. All right, so both have where job is manager, where job is manager. The difference is one is counting how many rows are going to be retrieved, and the other is just displaying the rows that are going to be retrieved. I hope that makes sense. Count star counts the rows. So at the bottom, when you see 14 rows selected, that's what the count star does. Count is a function that counts whatever is in the parentheses. So in this case, the parentheses is star, meaning everything. Give us all the rows. All right. Before moving on, let's do one more. Let's select star from EMP. Now this is a small table, as I've been saying, so you can eyeball certain things here. So what if I said, show me everybody who works in department 30. Just give me their names and their department number, who's in 30. That's a simple select statement. Ename, comma, department number from EMP where department number equals 30. Because the question was, just show me everybody who works in department 30. Show me everybody. So it didn't say count how many. It just said, show me everybody. So if you want to see everybody who works in department 30, that's select ename, department number from EMP where department equals 30. So we've done that many times, so that should be simple. But what if I didn't do this statement and I just wanted to know how many people worked in department 30? Well, just like the previous example, all we're going to change is this section right here. Instead of saying select ename and department number from EMP where department equals 30, I'm going to do select count star. That's all we're going to do. We're going to replace these two columns with count star. So let's do that. Select count star from EMP where department number equals 30. Enter. 6. 6 rows selected when we use this syntax. But when we want to count, when we want to use the count function, it gives us the number of rows selected. So in this case, we were looking for how many people work in department 30. There's your answer. So I hope that makes perfect sense.